Good morning. It is Sunday, January 29th. And so this morning, what I'm doing is I am firing up the beast. So you can see right now that it's still pretty dark outside. Stars are still out. Daybreak's getting here. So what I'm doing today is, well, I'll give you a little tour, I guess, first. This is my little 18-inch Weber Smoky Mountain, my 22-inch Weber Smoky Mountain, and then my 22-inch Weber Grill. Because I have the best wife in the world and knows my addiction to this, she allowed me to build pretty much my dream smoker, right? And I mean, at least I should say dream smoker for the backyard barbecuist, pitmaster, if you will. So what I did is I have a 120 gallon reverse flow. You can see the stack right here over the firebox, and 120 gallon reverse flow smoker. I made this entire smoker by myself from the ground up, with a lot of help off various websites, and definitely giving a shout out to barbecuebrethren.com. That's the forum I belong to. The people there are second to none when it comes to this craft, and I learned a lot there. Got a lot of good advice, things like that. And right now, looking at my river country, I know I didn't go with the tell-trues, but you know, finances were an option at the time. So you know, this on the right side, we're about 190. And over on this side, we're about 175, 180, it says, at least at the thermometers. And then I also got my Maverick in there. And at the grate level between the two grates, it says I'm at 172. So you can see there's a difference, obviously, at grate level and then where I have my thermometers mounted. But the big thing, why I mounted these here, is when I usually do run with a pit probe. But the reason why I mounted these here is just because when I put it down, I didn't want the long stems to be poking into the meat or whatever. So I wanted to make sure I had that space reserved so I could fill up the entire bottom tray. So basically what we're doing right now, and I hope you can see all this. So I got both my dampers wide open right now. And what I'm going to do is, since my smoker seems to be just kind of chilling around the 170 mark right now, I mean, it's a big hunk of steel and a hunk of mass. It's only 35 degrees outside right now. So we're in Virginia, in the middle of the winter, obviously. So what I got going on right there is, my logs still look pretty good. I got my trusty shovel here, which... if you haven't read it, it sounds kind of silly, but I am a huge Aaron Franklin fanboy. So for all you haters out there, I'm sorry, just bear with me. But Aaron Franklin knows what the hell he's doing. He does. And in his book, which I own, Meat Smoking Manifesto, I highly recommend you get it if you don't. If you haven't read it or don't own it, or whatever the case may be, you need to go right over to Barnes & Noble right now and go buy that book. So you can see right here down at the bottom, I usually use some people hate on me for this, but I usually light a full chimney of charcoal right here, just to go ahead and get a coal bed started. And then what I do is I just throw my wood right on top of that. Today what I'm using is I got a whole bunch of so I live in the middle of the city, so my neighbors think I'm crazy. But another great recommendation on his book is hit up Craigslist. You see these big 3 piles of wood. I got pecan here, I got oak there, I got a little half pile of cherry over there, followed by more oak. And this is all courtesy of Craigslist free section. I'm just saying. So I got them all on pallets, got it all chopped down except the pecan here. Put tarps over the top so I can go ahead and start that seasoning process. My little wood hauler here, I used to haul deer with it when I'd go out in the woods and go hunting. But over here, I just went ahead and cracked this door open just to feed it a little bit more air. And checking my temps, see if we're going up at all. Yeah, a little bit. So what I'm gonna do is, you know, Aaron Franklin in his book says that the most useful tool you'll have is a good old shovel. And then he's like, the other thing he says in his book is that a fire is like a game of chess. So like as I'm looking here at this wood, and I'm going to build this fire up a little bit more just to get this steel heated up, I'm not going to pick like the bigger, thicker piece of, I think that's cherry, right? Actually, right there. And these three pieces, but you can see right here where this is a little bit shorter, a little bit smaller in diameter. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and stack it right up on top there. Let that catch, just because you can see that coal bed's just starting to die down now. So what I want to keep from happening is just when those do eventually fall through my mesh fire grate there, which I got double cross mesh for my fire grate, just to retain the coal bed longer. I want to keep that going and retain that. So I'm going to leave the door open for just a second, so until I'm comfortable with that top log catching, just to stoke up the fire a little bit. And then the thing is that the beauty of the shovel here is that, you know, I built my firebox pretty big. So if the fire gets too hot, then I obviously just move my coal bed back towards closer to the door. And then if my temps drop and I just want to get a little bump, then I just take the shovel and I kind of push everything forward. And it's just kind of like a little chess game, if you will. And then once it actually starts breaking down and I need more heat where the shuffling around the wood and the coal bed doesn't work so much, then throw another log on. Pretty simple process. And people wonder, is like, well, you know, what is a reverse flow smoker? So you got two types of big smokers like this, right? You got your standard offset, which you have the fire that comes through the firebox, comes through your smoke chamber just like this, and then you would have your chimney over here on this side of the tank, and it would flow directly across, out and up, right? So one thing, you know, and I agree with Aaron and his logic here, where he doesn't want any interference whatsoever from the heat from the firebox directly out the smokestack. I like a little bit more stability in my fire. And some people would argue that you could do it with baffle plates and stuff like that on just a regular standard offset. But what I like is, so if you open this up, I got laid foil down just to make my ease of cleanup a little bit better. But the fire comes through and I have a big 1/4 inch plate angled down with a little channel in the middle, let all my grease run out. You can see my little grease drain here. But everything comes through underneath that plate, comes up over here, flows back over there into my smokestack, and then out. And I got my little rain guard up there. But so far, she's humming along. And it's got a good tight seal. I got good 1/4 inch gasket on there. When I shut this, it has a loud thump. And it seals pretty good. Don't have any leakage. This thing holds temperatures really, really well. And I don't have any issues with it, really. When I first built this smoker, I originally had worries about the fact that would it hold temperature, or was I going to have a 1,200-pound lawn ornament when I was done with this big old beast? And turned out great. This will be something that I keep for life. You know, I've just been very fortunate. So I'll take you back inside, and you know, it's winter time and everything out here is pretty much dead or whatever the case may be. But next week I'm going to buy my wife a big pergola, and we're going to mount it over here. It's like a 10 by 14 or something like that. It's got a built-in bar and benches and stuff like that. So that'll be a monstrosity that I got to build, but she's worth it. And so I'll build that, and then the nice thing is that when we have that, you know, I mean, one thing I like to think is that I got all these grills and smokers and everything out here, and what's the good of having all that if you're just not going to host barbecues and have friends and family over to enjoy it with you? So I mean, just if you just enjoy it for yourself, then in my opinion, just kind of negates it. That's what this obsession is all about, is togetherness and letting your eyes roll back in your head when you put a big juicy rib in your mouth, or a perfectly cooked brisket or something like that. So, but I'm rambling, so we'll go back inside. Excuse over here, what I've started doing is what I'm doing today is 2 racks of spare ribs. These are Smithfield Prime Reserves. And then over here I have 2 Smithfield Prime Reserve pork butts. I picked these. I got them at Sam's Club, and that's a pretty good deal. My spare ribs I'm not trimming down just because it's my family, and what we end up doing is we end up cutting it all up and then food saving it, and it'll last us months. And I'll tell you that the food saver process, when you bag it up and take it out a couple weeks, a month later, whatever the case may be, man, I'll tell you, it tastes just as fresh as the day it came off the pit. It tastes delicious. And then I always take it to work, and then I always torture everybody with the smell wafting through the office, and they just freak out. It's just like, oh my gosh, I gotta have some of that. So what I really like about these pork butts right here, you see the striations on this one, so this is where my money muscle is going to be. Looked like it had a good amount, had a decent amount of fat cap on it. And then the same thing over here, just checking out the money muscle, and you can see it right here. Grab it and you can see the striations and the tubules running through here. So it looked alright to me, so this is what I'm cooking today, and that's what I'm going to go with. It doesn't look like it has a lot of trimming involved with it. So doing that, so I'm not going to bore you with the rest of the details. Just ribs and